Good morning. So I just got back from turning out Oakley on grass pasture. She's still on like a mud lot, a dirt lot, dry lot, whatever you want to call it. Most of the day, she's up to about 3 hours of grazing. If that's unfamiliar to you, I'd be happy to explain why you would introduce grazing gradually in the spring or any time of year if your horse isn't accustomed to grazing. But anyway, my horse is locked up on dirt with a little bit of grass hay throughout most of the day. And then uh, whenever I get up in the morning, I'll go out and I'll turn her loose and let her graze for about 3 hours at this point. So she's cold because it's like 40 degrees and she's shut out and she's hungry because she finished all her hay from overnight. And she's super excited about getting out on the grass pasture. I wish I had videoed yesterday and the day before because she put on quite a rodeo. She was just like dancing in circles, jumping, twirling, rearing, bucking. I mean, she's on a pretty big dry lot, but she's got a lot of energy right now. So I wanted to show you today the video I got. She's not nearly as wild, but you can see some of her behavior where she's pretty much what I would call like a bluffer. She's a left brain introverted horse, left brain extrovert. It kind of depends on the day with her. She's very extroverted right now, very expressive. And you'll see that in the video. She shakes her head a lot and she moves her feet a whole lot today. She's jumping, bucking, kicking around. So horse behavior is a little bit hard to interpret, and some people have one interpretation and another group of people have a separate interpretation. And so there's a little bit of room for that interpretation, and we don't all know exactly what the one right truth is for what that horse is communicating in the moment. But I think I've got a pretty good educated understanding of what she's communicating to me, which is maybe a smidge of disrespect, but I felt like I had pretty good control of her feet. So, if you see something different, say so. I would love to hear your opinion. But so in this video, you'll see she's very hot, very snorty, tense. I carry a whip today. I don't always usually need that. I just keep her back. She respects my space pretty well. Because I demand that, I don't allow her, especially when she's feeling a little fresh and a little jumpy, I don't allow her to come near my space because it's just too easy for a large, fast-moving animal like that to jump up in the air, slip, wheel around, kick you, take off running, and knock you down on the way by. So I just don't allow her to get near me when she's acting anything other than her normal, sweet, calm self. That's, I think, a really good practice. Your horses need to understand at feeding time, anytime you're opening the gates, trying to get tractors through, whatever, they need to have the understanding that they've got to stay back at a set distance. Kind of like ground tying is a good idea. If you can get your horse trained to stay like a dog, sit, stay. So you'll see in the video that I have a routine with her where until she's standing in a particular spot, giving me her full attention, both eyes, both ears, holding still, I'm not going to open the gate. And about halfway through opening the gate, I had to open it a little bit. And of course, I'm trying to hold my phone and video her at the same time because I had a feeling she would do something crazy today. So I'm trying to hold my phone. I'm trying to keep an eye on her and open a gate all at the same time. I opened it about maybe 3 feet, and she was still standing very patiently, alert, ready to bolt like a racehorse out of a gate. But when I flung it a little bit further and I got it open about 6 or 8 feet probably, that's when she kind of lost it. She was like, nope, I'm not staying any longer. And she charges towards me for just a stride or two. And I immediately, get bigger, put my arm and my whip up and, kind of give her a mean, you can't see my face, but I give her a mean mug, like, don't you dare, boss mare look. She turned and ran and bucked and carried on and acted a fool for a minute, but I just stayed there, kept the pressure on, you can't see the whip. I'm holding the whip kind of up, waving it towards her a little bit. I'm just being big and not intimidated. Like I said, she's kind of a bluffer. A lot of left brain horses, to get what they want, they will not be afraid to do things like maybe pin their ears, kind of balk if you're riding them and you ask them to go. They might kind of do little, what I call like a hump. They don't buck, they just kind of like hump their back up a little bit. They do little annoying things like that to see if they can intimidate you. It's all about mental games with the left brain horses. So if they can intimidate you a little bit, they can find that maybe you're scared and you'll back off, then they don't have to do whatever it is you're asking. So for Oakley today, standing still and being patient, waiting for the gate to open, she didn't want to do that. So she charged towards me a bit, and when I stood my ground and used my focus, my pressure to back her away, get her away, she spun through a hip in my direction from like, what is she, 50 feet away? I mean, she's all the way across the pasture. So there, like I said, maybe a little disrespect there. I don't know. She's just playing a game. You can interpret that how you want. But I felt like I had her respect, and I had control as far as I was in control of moving her feet. If I said move her feet, she moved her feet. If I didn't want her to come closer, I had control of, my personal space. And when she's this hot and it's this cold and windy and everything outside, and I know she's going to be bucking and carrying on, my personal space bubble becomes like 35 feet across. I don't want any horses coming near me, especially on mud. If they get to running and then they hit the brakes, meaning to stop 20 feet from you, they could innocently slide right up on top of you, and I don't want any part of that. So we just have an understanding in my pasture that my personal space bubble is about 35 feet, and if you come within that, you're going to get a lot of pressure. So leave me alone, stay out there, be patient, and when I give you the okay and step away from the gate, walk a distance away from the gate, then you're free to do whatever you want. You're good. I turned my back on her. So you can see she bolts through the gate pretty fast. But just if you're new to reading horse behavior, I want you to notice a couple things. Before I even got into the pasture, where I could have been kicked if I hadn't realized she was as hot and as excitable as she is, couple of signs I want you to look for. I noticed immediately because her head was high. Her neck was very vertical. Her eyes were big and bright and expressive. Her ears were up and alert. Normally when I go out there, her normal personality is very sleepy. So her head will be very low level, with her withers. She won't raise her head much. Her ears will move slowly. Her eyes will be almost half shut like she's asleep. She's literally like the sleepiest little mare I've ever met. She just kind of has a droopy, sleepy look on her face. So I noticed that behavior before I even got in the gate, where I would have been in harm's way if she decided to spook, kick, or whatever. Another thing I noticed, she was very, very muddy. Not like she had just rolled a time or two, but like she had mud down her face, even on her blaze and on her muzzle. I don't frankly know how she got that mud on her face, but it looked like it had been splattered. So that tells me she's been running and bucking, probably, who knows, in her pasture, just bolting around in circles just for the fun of it, probably chasing her goats and whatever. So take a clue from the environment. If there's big long skid marks in the mud by your gate, maybe, just maybe, carry a whip and ask your horse to back away from you so that you can safely enter without getting kicked, which is what I do. Anytime I open the gate, I typically don't send her away. Today I sent her away because, again, I want her out of my personal space bubble. But normally if I'm getting good cues from her, like she's kind of mellow, I'll just ask her to back up enough to give me room to enter. And I still want her to, eyes and ears on me, facing me, just stand there quietly while I come in and do whatever I need to do. So again, if you don't know equine behavior and this is kind of new to you, be watching for clues. Her head shaking is a really big clue. She may be standing stock still, but if you watch in the video, she's shaking her head, and you might not be able to hear, but she's kind of making little short, shallow grunts and snorts. She's not like blowing out a big snort, and she's not breathing deeply. She's just like little short grunts and snorts. That tells me she is fired up, breathing really, really shallow because her ribs are tight. She's holding a lot of tension, and she's ready to literally kick, fart, and run at the drop of a hat. So anyway, I hope this video is at least a little bit interesting to you, give you an insight into how I handle wild or spooky or hot wound up horses in this sort of scenario, how I keep myself safe and allow them to have freedom of expression, freedom to move, because the last thing I would want to do is halter her and try to hold her down, hold her still, make her contained, make her more more tense, more explosive. That's what I used to do when I was a kid and didn't know any better. You know, oh my gosh, I got to go in the pasture with these horses and they're wild. I better halter everybody. That is the worst thing you can do, because now they're in your space and you're more apt to get kicked or knocked down, dragged, whatever. So, hope that helps. Let me know if you learned anything or if you have any ideas or if you see anything in her body language that I didn't pick up on. And other than that, I'll talk to you later. Bye. Oakley. Good morning. Hi. You've been running and bucking, haven't you? Look at that face covered in mud. How did you get mud on your face? How did you do it? How did you do it, Oakley? Hey. Hey. Move. Move. You can move. Come on. Get out of here. Slippery. Hey, boys. Hey, girl. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Get away. Back up. Thank you. Whoa. Hey. Whoa. Ah. Whoa. Ah. That's what I thought. No. Back. Okay. Here you go.